Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome to Mosaic with TJ Randolph. I am TJ Randolph, and I'm coming to you off the cuff. Thank you, shouting out to Mickey Red Creates, who sent me this little information. So I think I'm going to talk about it for a spell. You saw the thumbnail. We're talking about Macy Gray. I'm going to be honest, I didn't even know that she had done that. But it's interesting to me when what we're talking about is her statement on Piers Morgan, hi Emils. So for those of you who have not seen it, I'm going to play part of it and I'm going to talk about, I'm going to give my opinion on it. Okay. So let me share my screen. Girl, I'm telling you, intimacy, girl, you know what? Okay. Sigh. Okay, so let's listen for a minute here to what she's talking about. Okay, there you have it right there. Everything makes everyone offended these days. I do too. I do too. We're gonna talk about it.
Very personal how you feel about other people. Like we can have a conversation about how you feel about women, and there would be so many things that.
Put one in the chat if you can hear it.
I mean, we're in an era now, basically. You can't. Most public figures are too terrified to even say what they think a woman is.
I know.
I mean, if I asked you what a woman is, what would you say?
Let's say a human being with boobs. How did you start there?
Yeah, I mean, the dictionary is quite straightforward.
Put one in the chat if you can hear it clearly, hear the interview clearly. I'll wait a few seconds. Okay, great.
This is a human adult female, right?
Now a lot of people, that's a little getting confusing. The whole he, she, they, that's getting.
And I'm not sure why, really. It's a bit like this whole issue of transgenders in sport. I support all trans rights to fairness and equality.
Me too.
But not where you have people born to obvious physical superior bodies.
Me too.
Transitioning and then thrashing the women at their sport.
I totally agree. And I will say this, and everybody's going to hate me, but as a woman, just because you go change your parts doesn't make you a woman.
Right.
Sorry.
You feel that?
I know that for a fact. Like, if you want me to call you a her, I will. because that's what you want. But that doesn't make you a woman just because I call you a her and just because you got a surgery.
Because people do feel that there's biological sex and then there's gender identity. That you can identify as whatever you like
You can call
in terms
yourself
of a
whatever you
gender,
want.
right? That's the freedom we live in.
Absolutely.
But actually, you can't change the mechanics of biological sex. They are what they are.
Well, just like women go through just a completely unique experience.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. So we got that. Okay, we got that. Now I'm gonna pull up. I'm going to read something. I'm going to read. Actually, no, I'm not going to read it yet. There was a response. I'm going to read her response. Oh, not read her. Okay, I'm gonna read her response. Hold on just a moment. Macy Gray responds. She said, "I wasn't defining trans women, just women, because I know what it means to be one. I don't know what it means to be a trans woman and never said I did, but it goes both ways." She continues on. Let's see. By saying, "There's no bigger admirer of the LGBT community than yours truly. It takes real balls to be honest about who you are. Woman is a title that you earn and become. Just like a man, there are plenty of females who aren't women yet, and every girl gets it." Listen up. Thank you, Black Men Unfiltered. I've been, okay. Now let me read this article here. Do y'all remember back when Adele won an award and she said, I love being a woman or something like that? So she wrote, okay, what did I do? Row. Okay. The singer made the remark on Tuesday's Brit Awards as she collected Artist of the Year, a new category merging best male and female artist. Adele is being accused of transphobia for declaring at a woke gender neutral awards show that she loves being a woman. What the hell? What? What the hell? And then, okay, so it says, "I understand why the name of this award has changed, but I really love being a woman and being a female artist. I do." I'm sorry, what's wrong with that? Despite the support from the audience in London's huge O2 Arena, her comments quickly sparked outrage online, making her the latest high-profile figure accused of being a trans exclusionary radical feminist. You know what? I'm tired. I'm tired. You understand me? Why is it that I have to feel, or I'm generally speaking, women, biological women, have to feel timid about being proud of that? I need to understand that. There's so many things that were going on. And interestingly enough, I was going to, I've been thinking about wanting to do a commentary on the swimmer, the biological male swimmer who wanted to compete in the female, who had competed in the female swim competition and just landslide, just took everything over. And how the alphabet community was outraged that he wanted, or she wanted, to compete. Okay. So I'm like, okay, so because you have made the decision to transition for your own personal edification and what you believe your purpose is. So everyone else you have to force that on everybody else to yield to you. So I don't understand some stuff. I don't. And just because someone doesn't understand or doesn't agree with it doesn't make them transphobic. It means they don't understand. But here's the thing, Macy Gray said it's true. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm getting fired up because see now I'm a grandmother of a baby girl, and I'm looking at which way this world is going, and I'm fearful for it. So guess what? I'm stacking my coins because my baby is not going to public school. I'll be damned. So she can start hearing about this in elementary school. I will not. I will not. Let me read some comments. Yeah, I'm a woman and love being a feminine woman. Don't care who likes it either. But but see, I never thought, I couldn't fathom I'd live in a day that I would have to differentiate what kind of woman I am. What? What? I'll play it again. I'll go back and play it again. I'll go play it again. Hold one. Let's start here.
In an era now, basically, you can't. Most public figures are too terrified to even say what they think a woman is.
I know.
I mean, if I asked you what a woman is, what would you say?
Let's say a human being with boobs. You can start there.
Yeah, I mean, the dictionary is quite straightforward. It just says a human adult female, right?
Now a lot of people, that's a little getting confusing. The whole piece belly.
And I'm not sure why, really. It's a bit like this whole issue of transgenders in sport. Because I support all trans rights to fairness and equality.
Me too.
But not where you have people born to obvious physical superior bodies.
Me too.
Transitioning and then thrashing the women at their sport.
I totally agree. And I will say this, and everybody's going to hate me, but as a woman, just because you go change your parts doesn't make you a woman.
Right.
Sorry.
You feel that?
I know that for a fact. Like, if you want me to call you a her, I will, because that's what you want. But that doesn't make you a woman just because I call you a her and just because you got a surgery.
Because people do feel that there's biological sex and then there's gender identity. That you can identify as whatever you like
in terms
of a gender, right? That's the freedom we live in.
Absolutely.
But actually, you can't change the mechanics of biological sex. They are what they are.
Well, just like women go through just completely.
So OG Patrice, that's what she said, and I mean, I don't understand the backlash. So you just can't say nothing. You can't say nothing without being accused of being transphobic. What? The goal is to keep us divided with different issues. My question is, when will people wake up, unite, and stop letting themselves get played? Honey, I might be gone on to glory by that time. I'm just saying, I might be gone to glory. So I was watching another channel, and there was a comedian, I believe. Let me find it. Who responded to this, in actuality supporting Macy Gray. And I want you to hear, it's a transgender woman, okay? But you're going to hear what she has to say, which I find very compelling. So just a moment. Let me get there. Let me get there. Okay, here we go. It's, roll. Okay, I'm sharing again. Struggle streaming. My Bluetooth mouse is not working. I got to do the pad on my fingers and stuff. Okay, so here we go. This is what
time to send support to Macy Gray and thank her for seeing the world for what it is. This is what he had to say.
Good evening, everyone. My name is comedian Flame Monroe. I am a transgender woman or person, however you describe it, and this message is directly for Macy Gray. Macy Gray, I want to tell you out the words of my mouth from my portion of the LGBTQIA plus community that I wholeheartedly support you and thank you for seeing the real world for what it is. I do not believe that you are transphobic or homophobic or any other kind of phobic. I believe that you know science and biology because here are the three things. Gender is a fact, identity is how you feel, and sexuality is your desire. And you are absolutely right, because until you have the heart and mind of a woman, I don't believe that you could ever possibly be a biological woman. Trans women are trans women. Trans men are trans men. Women are women and men are men. It is as simple as that. There shouldn't be any argument about this.
So what you going to do about that? What you got to say about that? So it goes back to what intimacy said. You know, it's, biology is a fact. I think one of the things that really concerns me, and I was just thinking about, like I told you, the whole issue with the transgender female who wanted to compete and actually had competed against biological women and had taken everything, and they wanted to address that. But what I find very so I wanted to address that, but I also wanted to address the confusion that is really forced upon people who are not a part of that community. What do I mean? These pronouns, I'm confused. I'm confused by it. This is contradictory to everything I learned in English and grammar. I'm confused by it. I'm confused that instead of, I have to say my pronouns are she and what? And if I miss the pronouns, I could be accused of being transphobic. What? I'm confused by that. I've even seen an article, and what bothers me is the confusion that's being placed upon children. I said it. That's being placed upon children. The confusion now, even out of the womb. I saw an article that this couple had a baby and said they're going to refer to the baby as a baby. Excuse me. So what that signifies to me, regardless of what the child is born as, you're going to impose your will upon the baby that was born a biological male or female because you feel. I am stunned. I'm now about to go on a tangent. I am stunned because in the world we live in now, if my daughter was to play with my nephew's dump truck, which she did, Parents will say, oh, she must identify as a boy. Are you out of your freaking mind? My daughter was a child. She was with her cousins who are males. Just like when they would come visit over at my house, my daughter had her houses and stuff like that. Her male cousins played them when they were little because that was what was there. That didn't mean that they were identifying and they were a girl, that they were female. So this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing now. Instilling this kind of confusion in children's lives. And again, I got to go ahead and talk about the Buzz Lightyear movie. I will not be taking my little ones to that. Because again, it's confusion. And you are imposing it and indoctrinating it to babies, to children who have not even formulated, they're developing. And you're putting these images in their mind that they're confused by that because I'm confused by it. And what I mean by that is when you are an adult, you choose the lifestyle you want to live. You choose that. And it is your right to do that. But when it is being forced on children, I think that's wrong. I think it's wrong. There's no way, in my opinion, that I would feel that I needed to explain to my granddaughter why same-sex are kissing. Because again, that is contrary. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying none of that. What I'm saying, it's not the norm. It is not how we were created to be with each other. In as much as we can talk about in the Bible, there have been instances of this kind, of lifestyle, even in Bible times. So that goes as far back as history. It does. But when we are talking about children who are still impressionable, they're not even sure about anything. There was a time my daughter said she was, she wanted to, she was a bunny rabbit. I'm a bunny rabbit. That's called make believe. Let me read some comments. I have 4-year-old niece. It's yeah. When I was teaching in Head Start, a lot of parents didn't want their children playing in the dramatic area. Will you expound on that, please? Playing in the dramatic. Okay. They've been trying to change natural heterosexual names to I'm to cis woman. What the? You know what? And see, there comes the imposition. Why? Okay, hold up. Why do your rights have to impede mine? I need to understand that. Help me. Hey, Simon. So, your rights are your rights. But why does supporting your rights have to encroach upon mine? To the fact that I have to justify and explain being a woman. I'm sorry, I won't. And Macy Gray says a statement that is biological fact. Yes, you are born what you're born, what you identify as something else. Flame Monroe didn't have a problem with it, was not offended by it. And what Macy Gray didn't say, what she said wasn't offensive. Again, I'm going to say it again. If we don't understand or if we don't agree, does not necessarily mean transphobia. Here we go. Just because I say I'm a car and stand in the garage does not make me. I'm going to drink my freshly juiced juice that I made today. I'm going to sip that. Because you're absolutely right. That was an area where children would play. Wow. And dress up kitchen. This is mind boggling. And I'm going to tell you why. Again, my nephew, who's on the horn, you see him playing on the horn. I remember when he was in Head Start, they played in those areas. But by this way of thinking, he's gay, or he believes he's a woman. What? They were kids. What the hell is wrong with people? What the hell is wrong with people? Okay. Well, what you're telling me is they don't like anybody that says the truth. And the truth is not to lessen your resolve or your what you feel for what you identify as, but the truth is the truth. I need to understand. And it's sad because Piers Morgan said, you can't even say what a woman is. Oh my God, the confusion. I saw a documentary. I don't remember the name of it, but I'll tell you what I saw. There was a biological male who became a trans woman in a relationship with a biological female that became a trans male. Okay? They got pregnant. So what does that mean? That means, yes, the biological male the biological female who was a transgender male. I'm getting confused. Oh, got pregnant because the biological male who became a trans woman impregnated the other. So now it's sending a message that men can get pregnant. I won't have. So when they had their baby, they refused to assign a gender to it. I'm sorry. What were they born as? That's the part right there. Now we're going against biology and nature. If your child determines as they get older, particularly much older, past puberty, because again, you are learning, you're developing, you don't understand your own self. If that's what they choose to do, then allow them to do it. But you bringing a new life into the world with confusion and a baby? What the hell? What have we become? This is sad to me. It's sad to me. Do you know, because of these types of situations, you have a section of young people who actually believe that men can get pregnant. I ain't lying. Well, why do you say that, TJ? Do y'all remember a few months back that what's his name? What's that entertainer's name? Dang it. Gosh darn, I can't think of his name. He wears pink a lot. He's a rapper. He came out with Billy Cyrus. I can't think of his name. But I think he was on the cover of a magazine with like as if he was pregnant and did a full spread of him carrying a baby. What is that guy's name? I can't think of the name. Y'all know who I'm talking about? I think he's a rapper. He's definitely an entertainer. He's a black male. Yes, Lil Nas X. So, my dad works in group homes. It works in placement. So he had some of those young men in that group home was telling my dad, Lil Nas X is pregnant. And my dad is telling me, men can't get pregnant. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Confusion. 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 Mm-mm. Mm-mm. And you can't even, wow. I was still, I said, Dad, you're not. I said, you're not serious. He said, they were serious. They believed that a man or a male, not a man, but a male could get pregnant. Hey, RM. Confusion. And for those who just came in, I talked about the documentary that I'm just going to repeat it, that you had a biological female who became a transgender male in a relationship with a biological male who became a transgender female. Okay. So the transgender female, who was a biological male, impregnated the transgender woman who was, no, impregnated the transgender male who was a biological female, and they had a baby. And after they had the baby, they would not specify the gender, which is a requirement for the birth certificate. It's just so much. I didn't know it was going to come to this because I don't know. I've seen commercials where they talk about different treatments for, I guess, HIV positive people. And yes, I think it was on Oprah, her channel. When they talk about treatment for people who are HIV positive, and then it'll say not to be used for people who are assigned female at birth. I could, it took me a while to catch on to that. Assigned female at birth, not born female, assigned female. Hold on, my groceries are here. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So let me read some comments here. And yes, that man Okay. What? It's too much. It's too much. So apparently, going back to why I'm here is that Macy Gray said what she said, and the transgender community just started railing on her, saying she was transphobic. I'm sure, I'm not nobody of any significance out there, but someone may consider me to be that. I'm not. I don't agree with certain things, but again, as an adult, you have the right to choose the life that you want to live. But where I draw the line is when that is imposed, enforced, and indoctrinated on our children. Listen, we got some celebrities that, oh, check it out. I think the latest one was Jennifer Lopez did a concert. I'm not sure how old her twins are, but I know they're teenagers. Her daughter, Emma or Emmy, was performing with her. And as she was introducing her daughter, she referred to her as, she said, I really enjoy performing with them. They are this, that, and the other. They are. So I didn't know that she was talking about her daughter. I thought she was talking about people as in plural, they, because see, that's what I learned in school. So when her daughter came out, it is obvious her daughter is dressing more masculine, and so I guess those are the pronouns. Um, as a parent, you parent your own way, but for me in my house, when you gonna do it my way until you leave my house. Um, you're gonna do it my way because I'm responsible for you. And as a parent, everything my daughter wanted to do, I did not allow her to do because I'm the parent, and it goes against my beliefs. It goes against what is the natural order of things. Now, if she had chosen to do that when she left my house, I'd still love her. She's still my daughter. I'd still love her. I'd still dote on her. But as a parent rearing her, I had the responsibility to do what was best for her. Now, so if I was in a relationship, let's go back to that transgender couple I was talking about. So if I'm in that relationship, I'm going to rob my newborn child of the experience of being assigned whatever they were assigned. And I'm going, because what they said was, we're going to allow them to choose. What? Mm-mm. Mm-mm. There are certain things children should not be allowed to choose. I want to find that thing, that clip about the swimmer, because they ruled not allowing her, the trans woman, to compete in that area, but they are changing the rules, which again begs again of more confusion. Okay, more confusion. I'm gonna tell you why. So just bear with me. I'm struggle streaming. Let me see if I can find it, because this was very telling. Very telling. Let's see. And again, I'm trying to understand, because I did some research trying to understand the pronouns, because I had Jennifer Lopez introduces child with pronouns them and they on stage. So yeah. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. Let me.
But first, today's big news with a groundbreaking decision for women's sport. In the end, sanity prevailed. Reality trumped fantasy, facts beat feelings, and fairness triumphed over a twisted version of inclusion pushed by radical trans activists. FINA, World Swimming's governing body, made the only rational decision possible and restored fairness to the women's competition.
Did you hear her say that they're the world's swimming authority? Okay, here we go.
And by imposing bans on transgender athletes. But don't expect facts or logic to sway the biology deniers among the activist class and their enablers in the media. Indeed, it's increasingly difficult to separate the two groups, given how readily many in the media regurgitate the incoherent talking points pushed by activists. The notion that excluding athletes born male but identifying as female is somehow exclusionary is laughable. Those athletes are free to compete, but in the male category. Of course, it's much easier to excel in the women's category, but that is hardly fair to the natural-born girls and women who do not have the same biological advantages as athletes born male, such as muscle mass, lung capacity, and heart size. As Abigail Schreier, author, and she is a fantastic commentator on this, she wrote the groundbreaking book Irreversible Damage, The Transgender Craze Seducing Our Daughters. Well, in 2020, she wrote a piece about the gap between male and female athletes. She wrote, "Consider Allyson Felix, a contender for the title of fastest female sprinter in the world, who holds more Olympic medals than even Usain Bolt. Her lifetime best for the 400 metres is 49.26 seconds. Based on 2018 data, nearly 300 high school boys in the US could beat that time."
Okay, we're gonna let that marinate for a minute. Did you hear her say over 300 high school boys could beat that time? But there's an outrage that biological women do not want to compete with biological males in women's sport. I need to understand. I need somebody to help me. Help me understand, please. I'm gonna go ahead and drop the link if anybody wants to come on in. I need to understand. But this is where it gets even more distressing, in my opinion. I need to advance the article, because what they decided to do, in as much as they ruled not to allow that, let's see here.
By the age of 12.
Okay, here we go.
Now, the FINA boss was quick.
Okay.
He didn't make one error by leaving the door ajar for male.
Okay, here we go.
Representatives from 3 specialist groups: athletes, science and medicine, and legal and human rights. But FINA did make one error by leaving the door ajar for male-born competitors that have transitioned by the age of 12. Now, the FINA boss was quick to point out that that should not be seen as encouraging.
Did you hear that? Transitioning by the age of 12. Let's continue.
Encouraging children to transition before 12. He said through his spokesman.
How is it not encouraging it by making it an option for competition? How is it not encouraging that? I'm sorry. I don't give a damn. Parents just don't want to be parents anymore. They don't want to be No, you're a child. And you're my child, and I gave birth to you as this. Now, I'm responsible because, I believe in the God. I'm responsible for you in the eyes of God until you're able to make your own decisions. If you get to grown up, when you grow up, if that is something you choose because you feel or you identify as what other than what I gave birth to, then you do that because you're responsible for your own decisions at that point. I'm going to play this one more again because, I'm shocked. I see you back there, Canadian born. I'm bothered by it.
Now, the FINA boss was quick to point out that that should not be seen as encouraging children to transition before 12. One error by leaving the door ajar and legal and human rights. But FINA did make one error by leaving the door ajar for male-born competitors that have transitioned by the age of 12. Now, the FINA boss was quick to point out that that should not be seen as encouraging children to transition before 12. He said through his spokesman, "This is not saying that people are encouraged to transition by the age of 12. It's what the scientists are saying, that if you transition after the start of puberty, you have an advantage, which is unfair. They're not saying everyone should transition by age 11. That's ridiculous. You can't transition by that age in most countries, and hopefully you wouldn't be encouraged to." Basically, what they're saying is that it is not feasible for people who have transitioned to compete without having an advantage. But there are some who fear that ruling will be interpreted in precisely that way. And among
Absolutely. Absolutely. How about the answer should have been no? Period. If you're born as a male, you're not allowed to compete in female sports. If you're born as a female, you should not be allowed to perform in male sports. Let's go. Hey, Canadian born.
Good. Good evening. How you doing? Hold on.
I'm good. How are you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when I was hearing your conversation and saying you're kind of confused, I wasn't confused because I saw this coming a long way for the past 12 to 15 years. Because little subtle thing they do, if you're not paying attention, they're expecting not you to pick up on it. Like in corporate America, when they start allowing people to make certain changes. Back in 2011, 2012, I noticed that when the Board of Education in New York City created a high school for gay students because they were being discriminated in regular public school, they made a particular high school alone for those students alone so they could be safe before slowly but steady start to push the agenda. When my stepdaughter, when she went to middle school, it was 75% straight when she first started. And when she graduated, it turned 75% gay. When they start
Wait,
allowing transgender,
hold up. Say that one. Now, was she in high school?
my stepdaughter went to a middle school out here in New York City. When she first started going to that middle school, it was 35% straight.
Mm-hmm.
By the time she graduated, it went to 35% gay.
Stop right there. I want to go back in time. My daughter, when we lived in Virginia, my daughter, she was in high school, and she gave a party at my house. So I noticed that there were some young people there, particularly females, who seemed very amorous. So I asked my daughter about that, and she said that they were gay. Okay, check this out. Well, what I started paying attention to is when you think about how, I don't know about you, but I think about how I grew up. When I grew up, we were going to dances, we slow danced with boys. So when you're slow dancing and you're close like that, and your hormones, because you're an adolescent, you're going to cling to who you are, you know, who you're dancing with, because it's hormones. So I start wondering, when I start to see a change in that kind of dynamic when males, because I started seeing later that you go to parties, you don't see guys dancing with girls. You see girls dancing with girls because guys wasn't asking girls to dance. Even when it got to slow dance songs, because the girls are being very sexual and sensual because there are no guys. So I'm thinking during a critical time in a young person's life, that is when these type of feelings started happening, because again, you gravitate to what is familiar. What was familiar for my time was male and female. I need some, tell me if I'm wrong.
Let me tell you this. I forgot to put in the information. That middle school was an all-girl middle school.
Oh, well then
And they
there
were
you have
down,
it.
and it's not just that. It's the fact that it was an all-girl middle school supported by the Board of Education with public education. It was downtown Brooklyn. The fact that I got to notice some of the teachers, their demeanor, it allowed me to understand what was going on. Because this has been going on slowly but steady, but because a lot of parents was not picking it up, they were not going to the PTA meeting, they weren't paying attention what kind of stuff they're putting onto their kids. New York City was the experimental playground for them to push that nonsense. If anybody who grew up in New York City, who worked in public school, who had done anything concerning with the public school, they would tell you they caught on to some of the things that were going on over the years. It's just that you can't say anything about it. You just can't. Slowly but steady, they start to push that agenda. Slowly but steady, it coming from the teacher, because what would they tell the teacher to do unless you want that paycheck, you had to push it onto these young kids. That's in public school. But in private school, I don't hear that being going on in private school. I noticed that. Some private school don't play game with the board educated. They do their own thing because if they want to do their homework, look at the curriculum for public school. Look at the curriculum for charter school. And look at the curriculum from private school. You notice they're not the same. They vary depend on who's running that school. Public school curriculum are night and day compared to private school, but they don't have those agenda being put down to the kids. They don't do that because for one, some of these parents you paying X amount of money. I tell my son here to be highly. I don't tell my son to put your own personal agenda. Keep that to your damn self. Unless I will find a way to get you get fired and you lose your money. That is private school. Public school, parents don't show up. Do you know why? Nowadays, parents working one or two jobs. There's no two-parent household. It's a single parent. Single parent have to work. They don't have time to come to PTA meeting. What if both parents are working because where they're living at, the rent is high, and they're not able to get those high-end jobs. Someone had to work two jobs. They did the term, work like a Jamaican, work two or three jobs in New York City. That's a known thing. So imagine when no one coming to show up to PTA meeting, and what's going on, what kind of agenda being pushed down there. So since you're not showing up, okay, we make the change. We'll tell you later in the letter. If you don't pay attention to the letter, that's fine. We keep it going. Slowly but steady. Now, a few years ago before the pandemic, we hearing the transgender drag queen can come to pre-K classroom and read storybook to young kids.
Listen up. Let me tell you something. Okay, say that one more time.
I'll say it again. It was on the news, ABC News, local news, when they were showcasing drag queen in Manhattan from the village, dressed up like a drag queen, sitting down, reading, having story time with pre-K kids in the school. The moment I saw that, the moment I looked at my wife, I'm like, honey, you better not come to my son class or my daughter class and start that nonsense because you know me, I would take a day off and be the African black grizzly bear. I'm not
again,
playing this game.
it's confusion. And like I said,
It's not confusing to me 'cause I know the
no, it's
agenda.
confusion to the kids.
It
That's what
is
I'm
confusing
talking
to kids,
about.
but we taught our kids better than that. I make sure in our household we literally educate our kid on the fundamental. As a parent, our job is to protect our children's mind first.
Yes. There was
I'm a parent and a granddad. You saw my grandson. You know how I love
yeah.
my grandson. I love my granddaughter.
Okay, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Boss lady Iris was I think she said she was a head. Let me look, double check. So when I was teaching at the Head Start, a lot of parents didn't want their children playing in the dramatic area. I didn't know what that is because I've been out of the scene for a minute. She explained that's the area where the children would play dress up, kitchen area, dolls, and strollers. Okay, look, what by this logic, like I said, by this logic, when I was getting ready to go on active duty, my daughter stayed with my son. I see you back there. Hold on, hon. My daughter stayed with my sister and her family while I was gone for about 3 to 4 months. My sister at the time before my niece one just had two boys. So guess what was at the house to play with? Boys' toys. So by this logic, because she was playing with boys' toys, she would have identified that should have been a signal to me that she was a boy. Conversely, when my nephew used to come over to my house at the time, what did they have to play with? Her toys. By this logic, they should be identifying as women. Come on now.
Let me say this. I see what you're coming with that because when they're young, they don't know anything better about that. But what I noticed is these educators took that as an advantage to slowly program them in that direction. That's what a lot of parents are very adamant about, keeping things where it needs to be. Because before, I had to go to my former church in Queens. I had an issue wearing pink shirt. I don't believe in wearing pink shirt. That's not my thing. But I understand what the agenda was because most of my job, I get to hear some whisper I'm not supposed to listen to. I get to hear some agenda what I'm not supposed to know about. So I make sure I stay clear for those social projects that they're trying to see how they can reprogram the public. So I made it clear what is meant for men is meant to men. What is meant for women is meant to women. I stay biblical with it. Woman 1, 18 to 32. Society going with a debate mindset. I know what's been going on for the longest time. I just watched, observed, and laughed about it because like people are sleeping on this. So it start with the small thing, with the fashion, with what to what not to wear. Now notice this. You have some of these rap artists wearing skirt like it's no big deal. Where'd that come about? Like, come
Okay,
on, you can't sleep on these things. Everything started subtle but steady.
it
It's not
did.
gonna fall down your throat. Did it one little
But
drop
that's
here,
but
let it sit.
that's what it's come. And then how I started this live is that it is a shame as a woman that I have to qualify when I say if a woman, that I have to qualify that. It's a shame that Macy Gray couldn't speak the truth.
I
You're
saw
a
that coming.
transgender woman, you're not a woman, you're not a female.
I saw that coming. I saw that coming a mile away. The moment she said it, I was like, Macy Goya, I salute you. You had the backbone. Not too many people have the backbone to say it in public space
Well,
and say this.
Macy Gray ain't never gave a shit. Back in the day when she was at her height, she didn't ever never gave a damn. Hey, let me read this comment here, and then Simon, I got you. Um, did I hear about the guards who raped female inmate and got them pregnant?
He's talking about
Mm,
prison.
That's not new either. That is not new. A lot of
yeah,
these
but
people
I'm not
across the
sure I
country.
follow because we're talking about transgender stuff. Okay, go ahead, Simon. Could you clarify a little bit more? And maybe I just didn't get it. I didn't understand. Okay, go ahead, Simon. Then I'm gonna bring up Boss Lady Iris.
Yeah, we're civilians, right? To
Yeah.
the most. So then we start getting into some other populations, right? We're still living in villages. To our decrement, we don't try to understand that. So when you like, okay, you know I go left, right? So it's like,
I'm trying to keep up now. Don't lose me. Oh, okay. Hold up. Two. I
yeah.
see what you're saying. Supposedly identified as woman, but still female, but had male body part. Okay, I got it now. Go ahead, Simon.
Black Dave is looking at me like, yo, shit.
I need you to focus. I need you to focus. Don't lose me. Okay.
No, I will help you. I'm just watching him. He knows I can see through a lot of things. I'm old school. When you have old school elders, they teach you how to understand things with
Look,
a
it's
deeper
just a
meaning.
look. The look is just like,
What?
oh, I can see. I
I've
can
known a
see.
lot of elderly folks for years at a young
Mm,
age on purpose.
mm,
So I won't
mm.
be gully. No,
I'm trying to.
I
I'm
be,
trying to. I'm trying to do
I know what you're doing, Simon, and I respect that.
Well, I
I'm
don't
trying
know
to.
what you're doing, so I need somebody to break it
Me,
down
If
for
I
look.
me.
met your grandpa, I'll be under your grandpa for an hour trying to get all his wisdom and
Oh,
knowledge,
don't
just
go.
trying to grab that bad boy and run with it.
Oh,
I don't
now
play
you go.
around.
Now you're
Boss
going
Lady
to put.
Iris, you can't come. Go out and try to come back in. It just shows you circling.
I'm trying to. I'm trying to focus on the topic. Sorry, can you rewind because like Black David just he
Well,
threw me off,
rewind to
man.
what part? Which
um,
part?
the initial conversation. So it's like, what's
Oh, okay. As a matter of fact, what I'll do, I'll play it.
mm-hmm.
I will play it. Macy Gray. She talked about. Yeah, I'll play it. Here we go. Let me cue it.
Unique experience
Hold
and surgery.
Why do you even say what they think a woman is?
I know.
I mean,
not playing.
if I asked you what a woman is, what would you say?
on a minute.
Let's
Yeah.
say a human being with a book go of your hang-ups about slavery. You have to let go of your hang-ups about superiority. You have
Basically, you can't. Most public figures are too terrified to even say what they think a woman is.
I know.
I mean, well, if I asked you what a woman is, what would you say?
Let's say a human being with boobs. How do you start there?
Yeah, I mean, the dictionary is quite straightforward. It just
And
says
a
a human,
vagina.
adult, female,
Yeah.
right?
Now a lot of people, yeah. See, that's a little getting confusing. The whole he, she, they. That's getting.
And I'm not sure why, really. It's a bit like this whole issue of transgenders in sport. Because I support all trans rights to fairness and equality.
Me too.
But not where you have people born to obvious physical superior bodies.
Me too.
Transitioning and then thrashing the women at their sport.
I totally agree. And I will say this, and everybody's going to hate me, but as a woman, just because you go change your parts doesn't make you a woman.
Right.
Sorry.
You feel that?
I know that for a fact. Like, if you want me to call you a her, I will, because that's what you want. But that doesn't make you a woman just because I call you a her and just because you got a surgery.
Because people do feel that there's biological sex and then there's gender identity. That you can identify as whatever you like
You can call
in terms
yourself
of a
whatever you
gender,
want.
right? That's the freedom we live in.
Absolutely.
But actually, you can't change the mechanics of biological sex. They are what they are.
Well, just like women go through just
So there you have it.
Experience and
So Simon, what do you got to say about it? Hold on a minute.
Finding yourself doesn't change that. You know, being a
Okay, so hey, Lucky Marie, Niecy Pooh, what's up, girl? So, what are your thoughts about that, Simon?
It's kind of difficult because you know, the thing is like when we're not we're in our own bodies, right? So we go through our own experiences, and we get locked into that. So our sexuality is our own persona, so we own that. But there are people out there that may be living a like double-edged sword. I do have met people that have both parts.
Yeah, there are those who do have that. Hermaphrodites.
Hermaphrodites, yeah.
Okay, hermaphrodites. Sorry.
I mean, they're more sort of it's more of a community thing. Like, so in certain countries, it'll be more prominent and not really paid attention to in the sense that we pay attention to certain things in the Western world. So our emphasis in a sexual way is more on a Christian level or Catholic level or whatever you want to call it. So it's bare bones, right? And that's what we roll with. It's like, I'm gonna meet a woman, like in most of these conversations, most of these YouTube streets, whatever you want to call it. It's like if someone's gonna like hit me up, it's like they're gonna understand that it is what it is. It's like, if I'm gonna hit you up, I'm looking at a wife, and I'm not looking at anything else but that. So for those who have those relationships already, it's cool. But for those who do not, it's a single fraction sort of out there thing where it's like we're trying to work it out.
Well, I don't. Here's the thing. I'm not saying that they don't identify. I'm not saying any of that. What I said is, if I don't, you have every right to live your life as you choose to, because you're accountable for that life. But your rights should not encroach upon mine. Your rights to be a transgender woman, if that's what you choose, should not encroach upon my right to, and my pleasure, my enjoyment, my being proud of the fact that I'm a biological woman. And I should not have to qualify that. I should not have to qualify that I'm a cis woman or what? I shouldn't have to qualify that.
Well, why is it? Why ain't black women? This is the thing, right? This is the problem, and this has been the issue from Bang, and this has been the whole conversation from about 5 years ago. And this is what Kevin Samuels brought up. Black women do not speak up in that category. There's a category where we are desperate. And for those who have managed to sort of link with somebody and do the work, where it's like, okay, I've managed to sort of find a husband, I've managed to sort of find a partner, I've managed to do this, that, the other. There's a whole game. There's a whole people out there that are just isolated by themselves, not doing the freaking work to get with black men. And it's a problem. It's a real problem. We're not procreating. What does that mean? What does that mean? We have no external life. That's what that means. Like, so we're not even collaborating on that sort of level. We're not even talking about it. It's just like we're just trying to figure it out, which is, it's kind of sad, because come 2050, we're going to be wiped out.
Well, I mean, to me, that is a topic for a different show. Absolutely.
I appreciate that. No,
well,
sorry.
Because you make a good point. I'm not saying that you don't, but it's just, that's not this show.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, like TJ. Like I went off. Sorry. I'm sorry.
That's not
Bring me
this
back,
show.
man. Sometimes I need a bitch slap. I can do that.
Really in.
Yeah.
So really
Slap me
in.
or slap me.
But that, that's not this show. And I think I just think we are.
I'll make it easy for you to understand.
No, I think we're at a point in our world or our society that everyone wants to be so politically correct. There's no one enforcing a standard.
Now, let me pick on that one because there's something I want people to pay attention to. During the 2020, no, not 2020, 2016 election, when Hillary was going to some of the black churches, I'm sure people didn't pay attention. She was telling black churches they need to change your doctrine to accept the LGBT in your congregation. I'm like, who are you to tell what the church is supposed to do and not supposed to do? That don't make no damn sense. People didn't pay attention to that part. The other time when Obama went to Africa, people didn't notice this. Obama went to Africa, a couple of African countries, trying to push that agenda in some African countries. Some African countries, because of that, made their own law whereby it is illegal to be practicing that you may go to jail. Some countries are saying in Africa that's the death sentence. That when you had a huge migration of people who were hiding, were trying to file for asylum in the UK or in the US, all because Obama went there and trying to put the American agenda into Africa. I'm telling you guys, ladies and gentlemen, before I left my country, what I spent 7 years in, I recall seeing a mob of local people chase a gay guy who they found out he was gay. One was holding a torch, another group of people holding some tire, another group holding some rope, another people having some kerosene. They don't play that. So the government cannot protect you from the locals. So when they made a law just to throw you in jail, only two things can happen. Either local get to you first or the police get to you first. This goes on in Africa. The local don't play the game that we play in the US. They're not buying it, they're not having it, they're not going to play that game whatsoever. It's not all about that at all. So this is why.
With respect, that
Look at
happens.
it. Look at the
in
Jewish
US.
community. I live in New York City. You don't see them put that in the Jewish community because they're not going to play that game. The Jewish people have their bank, they have their school, they have their hospital, they have their go to the over 50 Jewish schools in New York City, elementary school, middle school, and high school. They have their own
Dude.
curriculum. No one fought on what they should teach or not teach. We don't have our own.
Dude,
I've been saying it for 15 to 20 years. When you gonna wake up, take some baby powder and pimp slap yourself and wake up and say, okay, I need to learn from these people who have their own. Because you're so scattered all about individuality.
all right. I'm actually gonna go around because usually I'll just go at somebody, but what it is you actually spoke a lot of sense. So is that there's that look. Okay,
I'm old school with a twist.
So what do you propose?
About what?
Because he's talking about the system,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm trying to sort of figure out like
What I propose is something that people don't want to hear me saying it. I would say clear there. Every black individual with the same like mind I have, we need to separate ourselves from the matter of those who want to play that shenanigan. We build a new black community and set yourself apart. You have to do that. You can't. I hate to say that because logically speaking, if you have been on the platform, saying on YouTube, saying on Facebook, being out on the street, you've been doing activism, everything you be doing, and that people fight against you, trying to do something better, it say two things. Not everybody have the same mindset you have. Not everybody have the same education level that you have. Not everybody have the same insight that you have. There are people out there who has it, who went through the same exact stress and pushback that you get. Or you can't do it, come together, put your resources together, and build something anew.
All right. So
hello,
I got to stop.
Sorry,
we're not going to derail my conversation now.
Sorry, I'm sorry, TJ. That was very
we're not derailing my
interesting.
conversation. We're not derailing. My topic is my topic. So and we're gonna keep it on that.
What I was saying was referring to the topic when you have gatekeepers Don't let no type of nonsense come in.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. I look
I
at these
love
comedians.
TJ.
No one
I
can go
really
to their
do.
school and say put the LGBTQ education in their system because they'll look at you like, excuse me, you want to teach what in that school? Get out of here. You can't go to their community and push that nonsense because they got gatekeepers. We
Yeah.
don't.
True. Unless, I mean, like I said, I'm gonna have to pull my coins together or, make sure, my daughter is talking about homeschooling, but I'm not gonna have my grandchild exposed to that because I'm not doing it. I just found out they have sex education. Now we got sex education in junior high and high school, but it was about biology and basically how the female reproductive system worked and all that kind of stuff and how you're conceived, how babies are conceived. Now I understand they're talking about homosexuality, transgender, identification, and they're teaching that in schools. I'll be damned.
I got
Like
one
I
phrase.
said,
I got one phrase to say to that. Childrenhood. Everybody remember history? How the childrenhood came about?
the what, the who,
The
what?
term Trojan horse.
Oh yeah,
Learn from history. What were the Trojan horse used for?
to get into the kingdom and let the soldiers out so they can destroy everything.
But it came out look like a gift, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what was sex
I
education was? Modern day Trojan horse.
don't know. I mean, what I mean, we're kind of sort of matured,
Yeah,
like
but remember,
fine
sex
wine
education was taught
out
in high
here.
school and middle
Like,
school.
so
Everybody
we're
think it
we're
was
we're
normal.
capable.
Wait, hold up. Go ahead, Simon.
We're kind of like matured like fine wine out here, so we're kind of capable of like looking back and like putting some points across, which is cool. But the younger generation, they haven't had that privilege, you know. I remember sort of like sex education like in like school, and like the teacher will be kind of embarrassed like it's like they're trying to teach us what sex education was, and they'll be sort of trying to put a condom on a carrot or some shit like that, and
It
that
was a cucumber.
or yeah, a cucumber. And that's just not
Or
reality. You get what I'm
banana.
saying? That's not what happens. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't work like that. So like, how can we teach sex education? It's a very difficult subject, and especially for the teachers that teach this stuff. So where does it come back to? Where does it come back to? It comes back to home, because if my daughter's
Absolutely.
turning around to me and talking to me about, oh, this guy, he done this, I'm like, look, like, no, like, I'm your father, like, I'm a teacher about sex education right now, right now, because
Well,
it's
we used to call it the birds and the bees. That's what they used to call it.
right.
Have you had that talk about the birds and the bees? And I think I don't necessarily have a problem with the idea of teaching reproduction, but when you start to indoctrinate as it relates to homosexuality, lesbianism, transgender, that to me, that's confusion. The reproductive system should not be confusion because that's biology.
Right.
There
So
should be no
no,
problem teaching
what
that.
so what that is that sort of like leaning towards the future. So it's like,
It's
and I
happening
think,
now.
yeah, a lot of people have spoken on it already. It's like, in terms of if that is going on in a cartoon and my daughter's watching it, I'm switching that shit off, because it's like,
Yes.
that's just my preference. Like, there are many parents out there that may not. Okay, they may allow their children to watch that shit, but personally, I don't really get it. So that's just my preference, and I'm not gonna dox anyone for doing it, because it's like, at the end of the day, that's what media has always been. It's like, that's how we've grown up, what we have seen, and what we know and understand. Ultimately, I don't know about your generation, but it's just that's what it is, especially in particular this generation, because most of these parents are out here just handed their children a smartphone or a tablet
Yes.
because they can't be bothered to actually go to the park with them or just spend some
Yes.
real time with them and teach them some shit. Especially during the pandemic, that's when everyone really felt it. When parents had to become teachers,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? So it was hardcore, and it was like, wow, this is what we're pouring into our children. Like, wow, this is your child. You chose to have this. I love my daughter. I'll give her 24/7 hours. I don't give a fuck about anything else. 24/7, 365. I'm like,
Right.
bam, 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 bam. Do you get what I'm
Right.
saying? So, but it's not, that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like that for everyone. I can understand that people have not come from the same place as everybody else. So obviously, if you're sort of working a type of retail job, for example, that might be very difficult, like in terms of understanding that, and obviously your boss might be on your case and going blah, blah, blah. Do you get what I'm saying? Like some of
Yeah.
us are kind of comfortable,
I
we're
think,
tired or whatnot. So,
well, that's what I was talking about earlier. I'm not sure when you came in, but I was talking about the most recent Buzz Lightyear movie. And I love Toy Story. Love Toy Story. Watched all of them. But I would not take my granddaughter or my granddaughters to see that. Because again, and interestingly enough, over the past week when my granddaughter was here and my niece, we were watching Little Mermaid. We were watching, basically Rapunzel's story. Okay, and there's always the happily ever after and the kiss, male and female kiss, because again, that is how we were designed. Okay, I'm not having that conversation with my granddaughters as to why two women or two men are kissing. I'm not.
Can I say something about
wow.
that?
Yeah.
Because
Oh.
it's funny that Disney doing it, but guess where they learned that one from? Nickelodeon. Because
I heard.
I've been paying closer attention after tech. My job is to warn my customer about certain things. The first show that was doing that nonsense, what they go out to do in the first few seasons, they were slowly but steady putting that agenda. When they able to be successful in that, they did it in many other programming under Nick. One of the people's favorite cartoon slash animation was the Avatar. The first three seasons of Avatar, when they have the boy, they couldn't put it in there. They tried on the next version when they have the girl and slowly put that. Then later, any childhood cartoon that you grew up watching, they start doing the same exact thing slowly but steady in a way that you're not aware that you're not gonna catch on to it. Cause many parents let their kid watch TV, they don't pay attention to what their kid are watching. I had to learn how to pay attention to what my kid would see if it's good for my kid to watch or not. And I thought to catch on to it. I think, change that channel. I want to see you to watch. I would. I thought to catch on like some of these things that if you weren't paying attention, if you a busy mom, busy dad, you were like, it's no big deal. You have Netflix, you have Hulu, they can watch cartoon in their own kiddie time, but not every cartoon in the kiddie section actually for them to begin with. You have to observe it and analyze it. Same thing with social media. I've been the biggest component that tell parents do not let your child have a social media profile, period, until they turn 18. That was me saying
Exactly.
it. People think I was crazy. I think, When Snapchat first started and I
Yeah.
analyzed them, I knew Snapchat was no good. There were a bunch of articles a lot of parents overlooked. I'll give you one. This happened, I think, around 2014, 2013, 2014 in Virginia. One high school student snitched on his peers how they to go to a popular entertainment center to go to and were having underground swinger party for teens using the Snapchat as a way of communicating among themselves. Snapchat have a way of deleting information that parents will not
In,
find out
in
because
24
after a
hours, I
certain
think.
period of time,
Yeah.
I'm a tech. When I tell parents, get your kid off social media, don't need to be on it, I know what I'm talking about. The first company I worked with was collegeclub.com. If you remember back the late 90s, I used to work for that company. I understand how social media actually work. Too many people don't mean to be on social media because they're too uneducated to be on to begin with. It's social programming. The problem with people and they look cool and hip, They go jump right on, and I called it out in the van. I'm like, I won't be surprised when all these things start to happen. When I start watching, I start to laugh. I wonder how many parents pay attention to these things. You can't pay attention when you're too damn busy. You're too damn occupied.
It's all very new, though. I mean, the
No,
thing
it's not
is,
new to me. It's just
it's
that
not because you're sensei, but it's like it's new to a lot of parents. Like I sort of rock up in nurseries and primary schools. My job is that in terms of like I don't want to give out too much information, but I'm just saying like I come across a lot of women. So it's like it is that like and it's difficult, I mean, we don't know all of that stuff, and I'll be damned if I'm putting my child up on social media. There's no way. My child's too damn beautiful. Like I'm gonna allow her to sort of make her own decisions. Like I ain't doing that shit. It's like,
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Again, what Macy Grace said was not transphobic. It was true. But she is vilified for it. Like I said, and we were talking about, well, I'm gonna play it again. For those who just came back, I'm gonna play it again.
because my uncle told me this thing.
For the
Hold on.
organization's new gender. Today, more than 70%
Hold on a minute.
decision for women's sport. In the end, sanity prevailed. Reality trumped fantasy, facts beat feelings, and fairness triumphed over a twisted version of inclusion pushed by radical trans activists. FINA, World Swimming's governing body, made the only rational decision possible and restored fairness to the women's competition by imposing bans on transgender athletes. But don't expect facts or logic to sway the biology deniers among the activist class and their enablers in the media. Indeed, it's increasingly difficult to separate the two groups, given how readily many in the media regurgitate the incoherent talking points pushed by activists. The notion that excluding athletes...
Okay, so let me go back here to when you heard her say that they banned transgender for competing in opposite gender sports. So let's hear this other part.
That one was bound to happen. Let me tell you what I said.
Hold on a moment. Okay.
FINA did make one error by leaving the door ajar for male-born competitors that have transitioned by the age of 12. Now, the FINA boss was quick to point out that that should not be seen as encouraging children to transition before 12. He said through his spokesman, "This is not saying that people are encouraged to transition by the age of 12. It's what the scientists are saying, that if you transition after the start of puberty, you have an advantage, which is unfair. They're not saying everyone should transition by age 11. That's ridiculous. You can't transition by that age in most countries, and hopefully you wouldn't be encouraged to." Basically, what they're saying is that it is not feasible for people who have transitioned to compete without having an advantage. But there are some...
Okay, so I played that again. I still grapple with the notion that you can be considered for competing in the opposite sex category if you've transitioned by the age of 12. Excuse me. You're still under my roof. I'm still responsible for you. You're still developing psychologically, biologically, all of that. So you mean to tell me as a parent, I'm going to allow my biologically born daughter who says she wants to be who believes she's a male, identifies as a male, to transition to a male, taking hormones to transition to a male while she's in my house before the age of 18? Are you kidding me? What you choose to do as an adult, that's on you. You're responsible for those choices. I'm responsible for you until such time.
You know that it's only happening in countries whereby certain leadership are not there no more. to push back against that. This happened in Australia, and it happened in Europe. It happened in the US. Okay, fine. Every other country not playing that game.
This is tantamount.
I don't know. There's
Hold
outliers.
on,
I
hold on,
mean,
Simon. Hold on, Simon. This is tantamount because you're saying that you allow a child to make a life altering decision at 11 or by age 12. That is tantamount to my 11-year-old child saying that she wants to have a baby now.
They want to push that, saying that it's okay for grown-ass men to chase after young girls at the age of 10, 11, 12, like it's normal. And to me, I hope you can try that and see what I do to you.
Hold on, I need to say it again. You're telling me that according to this logic, I should allow, if I have give birth to a biological female child who comes to me and says, "Mommy, I feel or I believe that I am a male. I'm in the wrong body. I want to transition to a female. I want to transition to a woman." Okay. So, and she tells me that at 11. And I'm supposed to allow my child to make a life altering decision at 11 or up to 12. That is tantamount to me allowing my 11 or 12-year-old child to say she wants to have a baby and me encourage her to do it. Excuse me? I need to understand. I need to understand.
hell no.
Yeah. Yeah.
That ain't happening. You know, to be real, like, why'd you have children? You know, and the fact of the matter is sometimes you can't, well, most of the time you can't sort of determine their outcome. But your job really is to put in them what you have learned and what you know and what have got you through life, right? I don't know. I mean, that's what I understand. So that's what I do with my child. It's like,
That's what I understand too.
so
Check this. Patrice, tell me how old was your granddaughter?
yeah, Patrice wants to come up here, man. She's been shouting out some fire, like. But
She
I'm just
said
saying,
in the state of California, my underage granddaughter was able to overrule her mother's decision to leave the hospital without her consent. This is law now in California. Let me tell you something. See what I would see, but yet and still, the parent is responsible for the child, but the child gets to make the decision to leave the hospital. Excuse me?
imperatus locus. Like at the end of the day, right? We are responsible for our children. Like if you are, look, I'm a single father. If something happens to my child, I'm responsible. I could get locked up for that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, I have a director. So it's like I need to teach my child and direct my child in a way that they understand what life is to an extent. I mean, obviously, there's different sort of increments in terms of their progression in terms of education, and if they go to nursery, school, whatnot, that's different. But realistically, that's the hardship of parenthood. And I think that's where a lot of people go amiss. They sort of flip out on that one because it's like you're not taught. There's no book. There's nothing to tell you how to be a parent.
There's nothing to tell you how to be a parent, but it's definitely you should know that you're responsible for that that human being that you have birthed.
There is total there's total responsibility in terms of how someone turns out, because there's a phrase like you are who you hang around. So like if I don't even want to do this, but if I was a trans, right, that's what my child's gonna see. So they're gonna see that, and they're gonna think that's okay. They're gonna think that's normal. They're gonna think, you know, that's possible. There's a possibility. Okay, the possibility element opens up a whole new world. So it's like if I was just rocking around here and I had sort of like, a wig on my head, and I was this dude, and I was wearing a dress, and I came on YouTube, and I was fancy flossing and doing some crazy stuff. My daughter saw me like that. That's what she's gonna see, right? She's gonna go, "Oh, Daddy, why are you wearing that dress? I like your dress." She already does that without me even doing that stuff. You get what I'm saying? I do that stuff, but at the same time, she is a woman already. Like she's a kid, but she's a woman. So she already sort of identifies with women, and she already identifies with femininity. So she's like, "Oh, Daddy, can I cook you something?" Or "Daddy, I like this, I like that." And it's like it's so feminine. It's crazy. I ain't even influenced any of it.
But see, it's natural. It's biological. You didn't. Again, it is inherent in her being.
Right, and it's just crazy. I'm like, wow, I'm like, she's a toddler, and I'm like, she's just so naturally feminine. It's just crazy. When I see these women out here and they're like, oh, I'm like, wow, do you get what I'm saying? Because I ain't done nothing. I ain't done nothing, and she's teaching me something. So it's like I'm learning, and I'm going, oh, I have a daughter. I have to move my I've got to stop being so masculine with her, because it's like, I need to understand this sort of stuff. So the thing is like when men start pulling up on that feminine stuff, it's like I don't know if they're just playing on it. Like, to be real with you, like when I'm gonna drop a dime. I'm gonna drop a dime.
Let's let Canadian born say he's been holding his finger up for a minute.
Sorry, Canadian.
I'm gonna go on the African side of speaking. Okay, if you go tell me, I'm responsible for my own child, and you gonna make some stupid law, you gonna tell me my child had to consent to not to take my authority to lead the house. Are you mad? Either I have authority or they have authority. Are you trying to tell me my child will run my household in my own house? You gotta tell me, oh, Dad, I'm going out to the club. I don't care what you think. I'm going out. It's the law. Either you go take my child, you go take her. I don't go pay nothing. You go take her responsibility, leave me alone, or you mind your damn business and leave me alone with my kid. And no way you gonna tell me that my child can leave the house without my consent. Are you crazy? Or do you crazy? Are you mad? You think I'll let you rule my household, but you can't rule your own household? No. This not gonna happen here. If I bring bought this child is under my authority. If you want to get authority on the child, you can come sign the paper, carry the child, and go about your business. You take care. Don't come charge me for nothing. How you gonna make law tell me my child run my household, but I can't run my household? Do you lose some screw in your head? What's wrong with these people? They don't go mad. One day they say one day they say another thing. What's
Sometimes,
what I'm trying to say is this: that law is BS. Straight simple. What they're trying to tell you is your child run your house, the child can make decisions without your authorization. They're trying to tell you you don't have no authority. So all they're doing is destroying the household. They're destroying the dynamic of a family.
Of a family, yeah.
This is why when people sleep on these things, quote unquote, your voting right might be next. And say, I'm just going to chase the bag. But you don't care who's going into the office to make it harder for you? Like, are you serious? Come on.
Point.
I've been saying this for 15, 20 years. Like, when you going to wake up and realize you playing yourself for a fool? My son and my daughter don't play that with me. I get that look like, you want to test your daddy? They know not to mess with me. When they give mommy hell, and mommy call, I will tell her, no, don't tell daddy. I say, why? When I start coming, I'm like, you mess up today.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me read this comment here. M Mill says, "Yep, just like grown-ups with two moms or dad or two dads, it's making it normal for them, and normal to them, and that may be true for them. I think it is a disservice to your child that if you don't explain, in as much as that is the choice that you have made for yourself, that that is not what they were born as a result of a man and woman. They were born as, they came from a woman, of a fertilizing of an egg that a male and a female put together. So I think, we, and for those who came in late, we are here because Macy Gray, I guess, got some backlash about a comment she made stating that uh, changing your body parts does not make you a woman. You may identify as a woman, but it does not make you a woman. It definitely does not make you a female. I think and so she received a lot of backlash, and I just kind of wanted to talk about it because I'd also had been wanting to talk about, what's been happening in with the confusion that I see when it comes to this as it is imposed on our children. It is imposed, and also was talking about the fact that with the backlash that she received far as transgender women, there was another channel talked about how transgender women are they're comparing themselves to biological women, saying we look better than you and we're this. Okay, hold up. What is this about? If you are good with yourself, you don't need to compare yourself to a biological woman. If you good, be good. But so what has happened is there seems to be, and this one channel made a point that you don't see that with biological, you don't see that with trans males. You don't see trans males trying to talk crap about to biological males. You don't see that. You don't see none of the shame. You don't see men say, I'm proud to be a man. You don't see any shaming from trans males toward biological males for them speaking about how they feel about being a man. But conversely, if a woman says, I'm proud to be a woman, I'm glad I was born a woman, you get to, or, you get to receive the backlash from transgender women who were not born women. I think
Um,
that's problematic for me.
Let me say something about that. What you just said. There was a recent video that Albert Priest did on a program called Jubilee. They're in Canada, and they show a group of supposedly male, but some were trans male. They almost went beyond their way on trying to tell real men what it's like to be a man, and they're like, oh, whoa, 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 stop! Like, really? You are a trans male? You want to tell a man what it's like to be a, like? Do you know how that really sound? Like, they trying to get to that level. Problem is, when you do that to a real organic man, you don't get a pushback. You get a stampede. Even the gay man was in that group would say, "Mm-mm-mm-mm." There's a difference when it comes to being a man. What a man feel, what a man is on the inside. You at the trend, you can never understand that nor comprehend that. That is not going to happen. The
And
same thing
that's the
with
same
Marcy
way
Gray
with
said,
the same
if you
way
have
with
a boob
girls.
and then you a woman. Remember I said they're different things. There's woman, there's lady, and there's female. Transgender, I call them female. I don't call them women. You ever said I call them woman? No, I call them female. Transgender male, I call them male. I don't call them men. To be a man, you have to be biologically and you got to be mature on that level. Same apply to women. I am old
Hmm.
school with a dangerous twist. I don't play the shenanigan with society norm. So when people want to troll me, good luck trying. Because if I get into your mind, I will mess you up and you get lost in your own mind. It don't work with me.
I don't
So
know.
that
I mean,
I'm just people want to put their stupid agendas. The thing is about me, is that I had the elder to secure my foundation of level of wisdom and understanding. So when I see these nonsense, I just laugh at it, but like, what's
Okay,
next?
I'm gonna disagree with you for a little bit because I had to look up the definition. I say you can be a transgender woman or a transgender man. You cannot be a male. You nor can you be a female. Female definition says of or denoting the sex that can bear offspring.
Now you make it easy for me. So I can't call them no female, no male. That means they're it.
That can bear offspring or produce eggs distinguished biologically by the production of ova, which can be fertilized by the male sperm.
From that
Period.
definition, you can't call them anything. You can't call them female. You can't call them women.
Listen, you can't take away from the black female, man.
I'm
You
not gonna
can't
take away
take
the
it.
black female, but I
No,
think you.
the
I can't be
black
politically
fe-
correct.
the
So since you
black
got the
female is exquisite.
so
You
when you
can't
say
take.
that definition, that means
I
I cannot
breathe
call
that.
them a woman.
I breathe it every day. Like I'm like, wow.
But
Do you know what I'm
I've been
saying?
trying to say
Like,
this for longer. I think look at the definition. I can't call you a woman. I
no,
cannot
I
call
don't.
you a
I don't.
lady.
No,
I
I'm
cannot
not
call you
talking
a
about.
female.
I'm
So
not.
what should
No,
I
no.
call you then?
I'm not saying
Well,
it's a personal thing.
but like Macy Gray said, if you want me to call you a her, what I will call you that if that's what you want me to call
Mm,
you. It doesn't
mm.
make you one.
Right. That's the
It
thing.
doesn't
You
make you
cannot.
one. I'll
You
call
can't
you that if that's what
replace.
you want. You know, you
Can't
can call
replace
me
it.
a dog. If I say I want you to call me a dog, or like in Milton, if I want you to call me a car, a BMW, that don't make me one.
People that have look. I'm
And I'm
telling
glad you read out for definition because I've been trying to be logical, but I said let me be politically correct for the
you.
change.
The black
But since
woman
you read the
cannot be
definition,
replaced. It's not
I used to have a
possible.
term, but I'm not going to say it here. I could say it in the backstage.
Mm.
I never called it, but I called it something else. It's from an old school cartoon. Everybody remember what it is back in the days.
But what we got to do is we've got to recognize that they have their own space. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like that's their own space. Do not compare. The problem is the comparison. Like when we
Right.
start, the problem is like when we start going, okay, you're sort of like moving into my space, and we're sort of trying to compare, and it's like that's not happening. Do you get what I'm saying? That's the problem. Like
But
we've
look at
just
it
got
this way.
to stay over here. Like, look, look. I've got my black woman. I love her. Like, we have our black people. We love them. That's our space. It's our category. Full stop. We can pay attention to what's going on over there. It's a bit of a mix and match, and we're trying to work it out because it's new. Okay, cool. But don't mix and match it with the fact of what we've accomplished and
Here
our
what
history and what we know and what we feel, because there's nothing that compares to a black man and a black woman being together. And I'll tell you that for a fact. Nothing compares to that. So anything else is mediocre. It's news. It's something we're seeing on ABC, CIS, what the hell acronym you want to like provide. It's like, I don't care. The fact of the matter is it's none to something when you're actually sitting in your living room on your sofa with that black woman. Nothing compares. Okay, it's just
Okay.
something you're seeing on your screen.
But
Okay.
think about it. There was a guy who went on Dr. Phil's show who did the same thing that Marty Gray did. And he confronted the two weirdos on that topic. And he told them right off the bat, you can't come here and want to change what have been documented, what have been scientifically proven in order to it based on what you feel. That's not the case. And I watched it on Dr. Phil and I was laughing. A guy had to literally tell them in their face, but they already clapping to the weirdos who was saying, well, if I feel like I'm here on my feet and people will clap, I'm like, what's wrong with today's society? Are you that damn stupid? Have you been drinking the wrong Kool-Aid or something? Have you been brainwashed to believe this nonsense? Because I was clapping for the guy who was saying, when you were born, when the doctor checked your gene, checked your sex, you were signed as a male, you are a male. When you choose to do it after that's your own identity, but genetically speaking, if I do a DNA test on you, let's say you're a male, you are male. You can't change DNA.
Right.
You
Okay,
can't change it.
I'm gonna go ahead and drop you down because I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. But I'm leaving this comment up because I got to talk about it because I'll be damned.
Oh, they pushing that. They pushing that. I heard about it. I was like, should I move back to Africa? Leave you guys here with your chaos because it seems like this is what's going on over here. Now Africa is getting better now, so I might well just start working my money, start my business. Because guess what? More than 4 to 7,000 African Americans have already moved. When they were struggling here, they're doing great over there. So I might well have to do the same. Because it seems to me they're pushing this agenda and there's no pushback. In the Jewish community, you can't even do that to them. Don't look at you dead in the face like, take that nonsense elsewhere. The Muslim community, you can't even try with the Muslim community.
Mm-mm.
So we black folk, who's our gatekeeper? It ain't Nas. It ain't Jay-Z. It ain't T.I. They ain't doing jack. They give them money and they turn their back until, well, I got my pay. Y'all on your own.
Well, I'm gonna say what I need to say again because again, before okay, bye y'all. I'm gonna drop y'all down. Thank you for coming.
All right, peace.
Okay, so what about free speech? Okay, people want to talk about free speech. Macy Gray exercised her free speech based on what is biologically factual. She was talking about what it like to be a woman, everything that we experience from puberty on the inside. And this is offensive to me. And see, here's the thing. Like I said, the alphabet community has your rights to do I don't want to interfere with your rights. Your rights are your rights. But why do your rights have to encroach upon mine? Now you calling a person a womb. What the fuck? I'm offended. I'm offended by now that I'm offended. So people are talking about transphobia. I'll ask, is there some heterophobia? I'm questioning that because now it's becoming where a person who is born male or female, heterosexual, that they have to defend it to be legitimized, or we have to explain it, or we have to apologize for it. I'm sorry, I'm upset now. What the hell? I'm now that I'm offended by. If you identify as a woman and you choose to, be fly, I'm not gonna say I have trans friends, but I do have gay friends. But the guy who does my hair when I get my hair done, I love him. I call him my nephew. I love him. Do I agree with his lifestyle? No. He knows that, but I love him. If he wanted me to call him or her, I'd call him that, but it don't make him one. And that what's this? Flame Monroe said it very succinctly. One is biological, you're born a male or female. The other is what you identify as, if you identify as a female or male. And the other is your preference, whether you prefer men or women. Those are three separate things. Now, again, I just read the definition of a female. I'll read it again. Of or denoting the sex that can bear offspring or produce eggs. Distinguished biologically by the production of ova, which can be fertilized by male sperm. There you have it. I don't understand why that's difficult. And I don't understand why what Macy Gray said got such a pushback. If you choose to have the surgery, look what you choose to do. And if you identify as a woman, you identify as a woman. But that doesn't make you a woman. It makes you a trans woman. Own it. Own it and be proud of it, but don't make us ashamed because we're not. Or try to make us ashamed because we're not. Calling us a womb, the hell? And she's my sorrow, but I don't know her. But I surmised or concluded that she gave that answer to get confirmed, because anybody knows what a damn woman is. I opine that she said that because she didn't want no crap. She wanted to get confirmed. But we will see. We will see. So thank you for joining me at this unscheduled. Oh, let me see here. Never ran and never will. We as Black folks are going to fix the problem. We're going to have to. And address it one person at a time. See, here's the thing. Somebody else, I think it was Intimacy or somebody, said that all of this is a strategic plan to divide us holistically. If we're pitting men against women, we're pitting biological women against trans women. It's a distraction. It's a distraction. It is a distraction. But I draw the line. Like I said, when you are grown, you make your own choices. But when you are my responsibility, I will not allow you to make life-altering decisions, i.e., the phenoboard, the swimming. What am I trying to say? The swimming authority, the Worldwide Swimming Authority, has stated. I'm recapping for those who didn't hear it, that for what am I trying to say? Gosh darn it. Whoever wants to compete in the opposite sex's sport, the transgender, for this example, the transgender female would needed to have started her transition by the age of 12 to be eligible to compete in women's swimming. So you're telling us that a child can make a life-altering decision, and you would be okay with that? A life-altering decision when their brains are still developing. I'm sorry. Their brains are still developing. But there are parents that would allow their children to make life-altering decisions that they could regret making when they're grown and legally able to make those decisions. I'm sorry, help me understand this. Help me understand it. From this logic, I'm going to say it again. By this logic, when my daughter went and stayed with my sister and her family, where there are 2 boys. And she, had a couple of her dolls, but the majority of was their toys because she was staying with them. By this logic, if I would have seen her playing with their dump trucks and their race cars, I would have gone with the assumption that she must be identifying as a boy. Okay. But going by that rationale, it's gone too far. And now you can't even, speak what is true without being considered transphobic. Let me look, since we're talking about definitions, let me go ahead and look up transphobic to make sure people are clear that I'm not. That's a decision that you make. Okay. Definition of transphobic: having or showing a dislike or, having or showing a dislike of or prejudice against transsexual or transgender people. Bullying is commonly underpinned by sexist, homophobic, or transphobic attitudes. Let me find another one. This is from Merriam-Webster. Transphobia. The meaning of transphobia is irrational fear of, aversion to, or discrimination against transgender people. What Macy Gray said did not denote a fear of, hatred of, discrimination of, or dislike of. What I'm saying does not denote a fear of, aversion to, discrimination against, dislike, hatred, none of that. What I am saying is your rights as a transgender woman, that's you have chosen to be, should not encroach upon mine as a biological woman. It should not go to the point that we have to qualify, and they use terms as wombs, or you have commercials that say if you were assigned female at birth. Excuse me? Born female, born male. So we have a situation now, what's wrong is right and right is wrong. And what I mean by that, if you're born a woman, that's wrong. And you can't say that you're born a woman. You can't say that you're proud to be a woman, because that means that if you don't acknowledge the transgender woman, that you hate, you transphobic. I'm sorry, that's not my business. So, but see, now your rights are encroaching upon mine. That's a problem for me. It's a problem for me. And here's the thing. I respect your choices. I have a friend, God rest her soul. Her son came out as gay. And my friend had a hard time with that. And I said, I know that's hard. I said, but he's still your son. I said, loving your son, I said, accepting his choice is not, and I said, acceptance is not approval. Accepting the choice he has made does not mean you approve of the choice. But he's still your son. If that son decided that he wanted to be or to identify as a woman and went through the process and wanted to be addressed as such, you would honor that, because that is a choice he made as an adult. Didn't mean you approved, but it was his choice to make. But because we are born female, we have to explain that, or how we should, shudder and be, not shout too loudly that we are women and we were born women. That's problematic. And by a person such as Macy Gray saying because you have a surgery does not make you female. Now she said woman, but it doesn't make you female. It does not make you female. Let me see what Kombucha said. Yes, wait a hell minute. I'm pregnant and was called a pregnant person and should refer to myself as that. Get the fuck out of here. I'm a pregnant woman. I'm a mother to be. And see, that's the problem. See, now that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. But see, Kombucha, you missed it. I was talking about earlier that there was a show because it's confusion that is being forced on our children. Forced on our children and explained as normal. It's normal for you. It's not normal for everybody else. So there was a show that you had a biological male who was a transgender female in a relationship with a biological male that was a trans woman in a relationship with a biological female who was a trans male. So the trans female who was a biological male impregnated the biological female who was a transgender male, and they had a baby. At the birth of the baby, they would not agree to assign a gender for the birth certificate and said that they wanted to call it a baby, meaning, whatever, I don't know. So, and then in the hospital, the biological female who was a trans male who had given birth took offense to the nurses calling him her. Calling her the mother, because she, the transgender female, the transgender male who had the baby wanted the transgender female who was a biological male to be called mom, to be called the mother. To the extent they even show the baby. I still don't know what the gender was because they did not reveal that. The baby, they show the baby, they're trying to have this infant latch on to a constructed breast of the biological male who's a transgender woman. Talk about confusion. I'm about to cry. I'm about to cry. Confusion. So Let me read some more comments here. I know that's right. See, this is what I'm talking about. What the fuck? Your mothers, because you produce eggs. This is crazy. This is crazy. So again, to respect your rights means you have to encroach upon mine. Really? Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and let me pull it up. Let me pull it up. Hmm. Jennifer Lopez. Let me see here. I think this is it. We performed together was in a big stadium like this. Okay, so listen up. We performed together was in a big stadium like this. And I asked them to sing with me all the time, but they won't. So this is a very special occasion. They're very, very busy, booked, and pricey. It costs me when they come out. But they're worth every single penny because they're my favorite duet partner of all time. That's her daughter. So yes. Now again, maybe entertainers think they can do something different. I mean, but again, until you're 18, I'm responsible for you. I'm responsible for you. I want to see how old she is. Her twins. Okay, they're 14. And when I'm saying they, I mean her daughter and son. That's what I mean. So, yeah, Dwayne Wade's child as well. And again, and I know that the backlash would be, well, your child is, believe they're in a wrong body, and they could be they're maybe suicidal. I don't deny any of that. I don't deny any of that. But am I, as a parent, going to allow my child to make a life altering decision out of fear that they may commit suicide? I'm not. And you can say, well, TJ, you don't have to worry about that because your daughter is grown. Yeah. But one thing about me, the answer would have been the same. Because she, because she didn't pay for nothing up in here. I paid the cost to be the boss. So I was going to make the decisions while she was under my roof. Okay. I had a so-called friend correct me when I told them I was having a boy. She said, for now, implying my child will be trans. See, I'm going to say it again. Your rights to do what you choose to do with your life should not encroach upon mine, being a procreator of life, female, having menstruation, having ovaries, fallopian tubes, menopause, milk that comes out of these breasts that my daughter suckled from. That, your right should not impede mine. That I have to say, instead of me calling myself a pregnant woman, a pregnant person, get the out of here. Give me a damn break. And see, here's the thing. I'm not transphobic because, again, I have no fear, no hatred, no dislike. But what I do have a dislike for is when your rights, upholding your rights, interfere with mine. Because they're my rights. We have more confusion, whereas a few months, I think it was last year, I'm sure y'all heard about it. These in California, they went to this spa, okay? Women took their daughters to the spa in the female dressing room. A transgender woman who still had testicles and a penis was in the women's dressing room, walking around, dick slanging, and having to explain to your children why a male, because as a child, you don't understand that. So again, you're right. And so when the women started to complain to the management says, well, we cannot interfere with her rights. She identifies as a woman. So what we have is, because they did not want to infringe upon the transgender woman's rights, you discriminate against the biological women's rights to be in this area to enjoy the spa. So again, I say, your rights are your rights, but when they infringe upon mine, that's a problem. That's a problem. So now we have to qualify stuff. And it's funny. I start thinking back to when, I had to be, where was I? I was in Virginia. And my daughter had to be 11 or 12. I remember taking her shopping, and we were in the female dressing room. My daughter's 11 or 12. And there was a male in the female dressing room. Where my daughter was naked and changing her clothes. I said, what the fuck? Well, I didn't say that. I said, you don't need to be in here. This is the women's dressing room. Women and little girls. So again, when your rights encroach upon mine, Well, yeah. Yes, honey. That's what my daughter said. She's, already making provisions. She gonna homeschool. And I might need to learn the curriculum myself to join in the effort. I'll be damned. I'll be damned if I send my grandchildren to public school and they're, instead of being taught about the reproductive system, that was the sex education I got about the reproductive system, who, eggs, sperm, fertilization, not sexual preferences, not sexual identifications, none of that. But that's what's going on right now. That's what's going on right now. And where's she at? I can't find her. Oh, Boss Lady Iris. I got to go back to that for y'all that missed it. When she taught Head Start, she said parents, hear me now. No, hear me. Head Start, unless it's changed, is usually 3.5, 4 to 5 before you go to kindergarten. Okay. She said parents did not want their children playing in the dramatic area. So I asked, well, what is the dramatic area? My daughter has been out of, she's 28. She said, where they play dress up. So meaning dress up could be, playing in the kitchen, little cooking stove and ironing. That could be, in the fireman's out. It could be anything. But they don't want that. Because, that's assigning a role. How about them just being children and playing? How about that? How about that? Being children and playing. How about, I'm about to go. I got pictures. I'm not going to show them because my daughter be pissed. I got pictures of my daughter and my firstborn nephew. Y'all see him on the horn. When he came over to visit, he had a tea party with my daughter. At a tea party. By this rationale, I should have said, he must identify as a little girl. And you can't be Gracie, you can't be Macy Gray and just say what's fact. That having a surgery does not make you a woman in a sense. It does not make you a biological woman or biological female. It makes you a trans woman. So she can't say that without being considered homophobic. Let me read the definition again. Yeah, let me read it again. Just to make sure whoever sees this video and tries to come for me, I want to make it clear. I'm not homophobic. You do you. Because you answer for your choices like I answer for mine. But your rights should not encroach upon mine or my daughters or my granddaughters. Because of your rights, I should not have to worry about a biological male who identifies as a female coming to the spa slanging his stuff or his stuff and have to explain that. There's no way that, let's say 30 women, biological women, their rights should have been, there's no way that their rights should have been violated as women because of this person, this trans woman who identifies as a woman comes in. So everybody, so this person gets their rights honored, but 30 other people don't, because you identify. Boy, okay. Let me finish. Okay. Again, the definition. I got two of them here. Having or showing a dislike of or prejudice against transsexual or transgender people. Examples are bullying is commonly underpinned by sexist, homophobic, or transphobic attitudes. Merriam-Webster's definition. Transphobia is the irrational fear of, aversion to, or discrimination against transgender people. It has nothing to do with stating what is biologically true. It has nothing to do with a biological woman stating that she's proud to be one. It has nothing to do with Macy Gray stating the fact that you having reconstructive surgery to become a woman does not make you a female. Because the definition of a female is able to procreate in a sense of bearing children, having a female reproductive system. And Truth Is Never Favored put in the chat earlier that there was a situation in I don't know if it was a jail or a prison, that the prisoner was great because they identified as a male, but no, identified as a female, but had male genitalia. Hello. See, that's a problem that should have been addressed before they even got to the population, but yeah, I don't know how that happened. But so it's interesting to me that a transgender woman can say, I'm just a woman, and that's okay. But a biological woman who says, I'm proud to be a woman, is somehow slighting a transgender woman because she was not born female. And somehow being a biological woman able to give life has been reduced. I said reduced to a pregnant person. Excuse me? Females are pregnant. This is too much. It's just too much. Proud Boys went to a library to confront parents that were impeded. Left on. Look, I don't either. I mean, I don't care for them, but I agree with that. You don't do no. That's what this is. We're doing too much now. And I said it once, I'll say it again. I love Toy Story. I will not be taking my grandchildren to see Buzz Lightyear. I'm not doing it. Because again, this is a child story. You're putting grown, you're pushing grown people propaganda, or how shall I say, transgender agenda, for lack of a better phrase, on children. The Buzz Lightyear movie, and I just found out because I hadn't gone, but it was banned in several Middle Eastern countries because it shows a same-sex couple kissing, same-sex women, female couple kissing. So again, why should I have? I don't understand having to explain that to toddlers. I don't understand that. It's enough, back in my day, we had this to talk about the birds and the bees. It was enough to try to explain that to my daughter at the ages of 8, 9, and 10. We're watching these movies, kissing. That was enough to try. Prince Charming kissing the prince. That was enough to try to explain. That was enough to try to explain to developing minds. But now I would have to explain that to my no. If that is the choice you make when you leave my house, that's a choice you make when you leave my house. But while you're in my house, I'm gonna teach you the way God intended it. Now, with that, and Bolo, you in here. I don't know if you can come up. We know, because you are a Bible scholar, that there has been, historically, there has been homosexuality, even in the Bible. We know that. Again, that's not my place. That is God's judgment. Just like it's his judgment over the things I have chosen in my life. But again, I'm responsible. As a parent, you're responsible to teach not necessarily just what you want, but what is societal expectations normally. And to explain your life to that child and let them, as they develop, they will make their own decisions. Hey, Bolo.
Hey, Auntie, what's going on?
Nothing. You heard what I'm saying. Am I off? Am I doing too much?
I heard you. No. I think what you're doing is the truth. See what's happening is you have to systematically see what's going on, right? The last guard is being bypassed. And when I say the last guard, meaning the parents, they're going directly to the children.
Yes.
This when we start, and this is the reason why, a lot of people get on me when I talk about voting. Voting for what? What are you voting for? Tell me what you're voting for. Tell me what you're voting for. Because
you asking me? Oh
no, rhetorical.
Okay, gotcha.
Whether you like it or not, it's going to be passed. So at the end of the day, a choice has to be made. It's either you going to fear the Lord or go with what society says. That's it. There's two spirits you can serve on this planet. It's God or Satan. You pick. And every day we're getting closer to that line being drawn and seen. See, it was invisible a long time ago. Now you're starting to see it. You're starting to see it. And it's being, like you said, whatever you're going to do. But when your freedom start to approach, I have an issue with it. But you can't say nothing. You being biologically a woman, if you say something, then it's you being homophobic, transphobic, all these different words that these cats make up. that make and here's the thing, what makes it so dangerous, being that being that we're in an emotional society, right? A lot of us don't have cognitive thought. A lot of us think through our emotions, and we know emotions have no context or perspective. So when they make these statements, they're emotionally triggering people. And that's all they need to say, and they get that response that they need. It's all
Yeah.
they have to say. When they say these words, an emotional response is triggered and people get hurt. And people are afraid to speak out because your channel might get shut down or whatever the situation might be. And that's why the law says who's going to stand up for truth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're
Mm-hmm.
bypassing the parents. You going to tell me that my kid got to be 21 to drink, has to be 18 to go to the army, but at 8, my child knows if he wants to be a she or if she wants to be a he.
You
And
better say that one more again, just to make sure whoever is listening is hearing this. Go ahead.
at 21, my child has to drink. At 18, my child goes to the service. But at 8, my child knows whether it wants to be, a girl or a boy or opposite, whatever his or her sex is. We have to look at what's happening, man. If you don't look out your window, this is why the Lord tells you, watch and pray,
Mm,
for your
mm.
salvation is nearer than you think. Look out your window. He tells you, the earth shall travaileth like a woman in birth. Women don't just give birth, they have contractions. You're going to
They
see
labor.
right. You're going to see these things happening. And you can't say, as much as we want to say, not in my house, these laws affect you in your house, my G.
You check this out. I heard, and I can't recall the story or if the news story. To your point, I've been hearing that there are some children who don't want to go by the name given that their parents have given them because I identify as something else. And the schools are honoring that
Of course. Of course, they're Bible.
despite the fact that the parent says your name is this. Well, they want to be called this.
Mhm. You know what they're doing? They're making these. It's like having a child that's spoiled. When you have a spoiled child doesn't know boundaries, doesn't have any perspective. Cognitive thought is gone because they want things the way they want it. And if they can't have it how they want it, things just aren't right. And when you bypass the parent who is supposed to be the steward of these children, the steward of this child to guide this child, my child doesn't know ABC, but we want to teach my child that Mary has 2 mommies. Come on, man.
Stop it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Georgia, they got transgenders reading the kids.
I heard.
You know what I'm saying? So, even if they're not pushing it, because again, a lot of the times we have to understand, we're supposed to use vision to navigate this world, but Satan has dumbed us down to sight, right? He's dumbed us
Ooh, you
down to
said it.
our emotion. So now when you have children seeing this dude dressed as a woman reading, that's going to pique their interest. So is there a different choice?
Yes. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Listen, that's why I say USA mean under Satan's authority. That's it. There's your answer. We can sit there, I was having a conversation with somebody on the channel, excuse me, last Friday. And he came up on the channel and he was talking about voting and talking about Democrats and blacks and whites and racism and all that stuff. And I said, brother, that's the problem right there. When we read Ephesians 6 and 12, right, it tells you put on the whole armor to withstand the wiles of the devil.
That
word.
And the wiles means the allure.
Right. Trickery, games. You have to understand that once you're in that conversation, you are in the game. Once you're in the conversation, once I start talking to you about it, We're in the game. If I'm not trying to convince you or converse with you about not being in it, once I have that conversation, Satan has so many different doors in that room, you can't win. So I'm not going to even have a conversation with you pertaining to it. I'm just going to tell you, okay, tell me what has been done. You have a system that is supposedly supposed to be able to be fixed, but it's broken every 4 years. But when they want to pass laws, they fast track it. But every other law that would help people, they say that, red tape. The Democrats or the Republicans is systematically stopping this from being, passed and all this stuff. But anything else they want to pass that makes no sense. George Bush, when he went into war with Iraq, they were saying you can't do it. He went to the UN and said, we're going. There wasn't no red tape. When they passed so that you can jab your child in Washington, D.C. and bypass the parents, and it's between the school and the child, they didn't talk to the parents. They fast-tracked that. HR 666, they fast-tracked it. Cats got to start to wake up, man.
Check this out. T. Shaw is saying facts. I work with some of these kids in my organization. If their birth certificate says Charles, but they go by Chloe, we have to call them Chloe.
Oh, they passed a law where the kids can change they can change what they are on their birth certificate. That law has been passed too.
Where?
It's been passed. Where if a kid, I don't know if it's a kid or an adult. If the adult, I know for the adult, if the adult says, I want to go into my birth certificate to change my male standard to a female, they can do it. That's been passed already.
Okay, check this out. This is not going to go well. Or, shout out to Sir Hell Speaks in the audience.
Builder.
This show is about to take a turn. See, this is where, and I hope this is not the case, because I I'm looking at it differently now. I'm looking at it that if you're changing your birth certificate and you're out dating, are you being honest about your identity in a sense of your biological identity? You understand me? Because we have seen countless times how transgender people, mostly transgender women, have been hurt or killed because they did not disclose who they were. And they got involved with a heterosexual male believing that they were a heterosexual female. So now if you're telling me you can go change the birth certificate, what I see happening is, see, I'm a female, look at my birth certificate. That proves it.
It says here, most states permit the name and sex to be changed on a birth certificate either by amending the existing birth certificate or by issuing a new one, although some require medical proof or sex reassignment surgery to do so. This is law. This is law. This is where we're at. So now when you get with that chick that's banging and you want to have children and he tells you, something happened or whatever the situation might be, how do you know? The only way you're going to know is if you do a DNA test. That's it. And then God forbid you do that DNA test, what happens to that man? What do you think that man that you tricked is going to do? What do you think he's going to do?
We've seen it. That young guy in Virginia who I think he was acquitted. The guy, the young football player who killed the transgender woman because he thought it was a woman, and he met her to do some sexual encounter. I guess she, blowed him or something, blowed him. So the next time he goes to meet the person, the man comes to the door dressed as himself, says that was me, and the kid beats him to death.
You remember how, this thing, I don't know if it was Sally, Jesse, Raphael, but it was one of those talk shows where they were doing secret admirers. And we're looking at early 90s.
Oh, I remember.
And
I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
It was a man that had a secret admirer. He was a secret admirer of another man. And you can see the man that he was the secret admirer of was very flustered, very flabbergasted. After that show, that dude killed him. Killed him. And from that happening, the state of talk shows changed. So now you're upping the ante, because you look at some of these dudes when they get these sex changes, they look better than women.
They do.
Naturally. So
They
now
do.
a man wants a child or whatever the situation might be in some spirit. Because we all know that everything is spiritual, from the greatest to the least. Everything. Riding a bike is spiritual. A pigeon poops on you and not your homeboy. That's spiritual. The smallest to the greatest. Something tells you, do a DNA test. Swab that dude. Swab him. Or that woman that had the change of a man. Swab him, and you do it. Where do you go from there? Where do you go from there? And see, they pose the questions, but they don't give you the answers. See, in most situations, the government already have the answers. They just pose the questions, right? They already set up the problem, and then they wait for you to ask them to give you the solution, because they already have it. In this situation, what they do is they just set up the problem and just let it work while they're doing other things. It's a sleight of hand situation. Look at this hand while this hand is doing something else. All of these emotional things are happening at the same time. Roe v. Wade and all the killings that are happening. We got to look at the bigger picture. Look at the bigger picture. If you don't see that there's a bigger agenda, listen, the only thing I can say, better you than me to the chopping block. And it's bad to say, but God ain't coming back to save everybody. Some people are going to die.
So okay, check this out, Vincent. I got an answer for that too.
You're going to check.
So you have to check it.
No doubt. Yeah.
But wait a minute. You can get past that too, because women nowadays are having hysterectomies at earlier years, particularly if they have fibroids and stuff like that.
Yep. Cancers, things of that nature.
They're having hysterectomy. So, somebody who's trying to not be honest, they can get away with that too.
As in conversations, man, conversations like this, when you have a man, you have to understand something. We have this thing that they call hunch, this thing that we call, something told me to do this. We dumb those things down to understand, and that's God talking to you.
Or the Holy Spirit.
One or the other, right? So if someone just tells you, yo, Duke, why isn't this chick getting pregnant? You already know that. Listen, it's not like you haven't seen, chicks that dudes that turn into chicks that are crazy. It's not like you haven't seen it. So it's not crazy.
It's not like you haven't heard of biological women who knew they couldn't get pregnant.
Correct.
Being with somebody and then acting like they didn't know. That happens too. So if we know that this happened, why wouldn't we think that this could happen?
It's not out of the realm. It's not out of the realm. Now, am I sympathetic and empathetic towards these men and women? Hell yeah, I am. Yes. At the end of the day, the government whom you think is for you is opening up a can of worms. It's opening up a can of worms, because here's the thing. If you introduce it to me and you allow me to kind of figure it out and on my terms deal with it, it's an easier situation than when you force it on me.
Yes.
When you force it on me, now we got a problem. Now a normal situation would be, all right, let me just hear a little bit about it. But when you force, I want you to eat this. Nah, now I don't want to eat it. It has nothing to
that
do with
point,
what the situation is. I just don't want to eat it because you forcing me to eat it.
and that's where the transphobia comes from, in part. In
It comes.
part, because your rights, you're forcing your rights upon everybody else, which is encroaching on theirs.
Absolutely. Why shouldn't
So
it be free?
that's where it comes from.
So now, if I say, and this is a real trivial example, but if I say I identify as a king, are you gonna call me king? From now on, everybody call Bolo king. I'm not answering the Bolo no more. It's king. Because that's what I identify with, and that's a very trivial example to give, but it's the same. It's
Well,
the
I
same.
identify as a white woman.
Word up. Well, you are TJ Randolph, the white woman. The point that I'm trying to make is you're going to give me every example and every breakdown to make me look foolish. So
Yes.
my daughter goes into the bathroom and some dude that I can see is a dude, right? Because again, you have some transgender men that you can't tell. But I can identify this dude as a. Do you know what doors you open up, man? Now, if you have 3 bathrooms, I think that's fine. That's fair. That's
Yes.
cool. But now
Yes.
I got to identify as a woman to go into the bathroom with my daughter to protect her. Now you can't.
I did. And that's what I was talking about in the dressing room when Danielle was like 7 or 8.
It's
You
crazy.
know? Yeah, yeah,
Door's
she
open.
identified as black. So,
The door is open. The door is open.
it's
And
we
you gotta
are
understand something. What is this reminiscent of? Everything is spiritual, right? This is why the Lord.
revelation.
There you go. What does the Lord call this place? The spiritual Sodom and Gomorrah, the spiritual Egypt, and the spiritual Babylon. America has done what empires could not do in less than 350 years. The influence of America on the earth, empires couldn't do. And it has taken those 3 spirits and combined it into one place. And it's here. This is why he says, my children come out of her and partake not in her sin. Y'all better wake up, man. And it's not easy. We understand it's not easy. It's hard to go against the grain, but that's what it's going to take. That's what it's going to take. It's hard, and again, whatever you choose to do is what you choose to do. I have no problem with it. However, if I want to deal with it, if I want to have a conversation or whatever, allow me to do it. Don't push it on my children. And that's what it is. Don't push it on my
And that's what we are.
and you have no choice in that. I don't remember going to the school a meeting and them saying such and such or whatever. I'm so glad my children are adults,
Yes.
but I
Me
feel
too.
sorry for them but I have 3 grandchildren, so I feel sorry for them
I
because
might
to
have
be
to get
brought up
certified to be a homeschool teacher. I might have to get certified.
you might,
I'm retired.
because when you look at what the curriculum is for these children, first off, look at everything that's going on. A lot of these children don't have fathers in the homes. That right there is a problem. I'm doing a show on that in a few minutes. That right there is an issue. And then you're throwing all of these things that they don't understand. They don't understand, but yet I have to watch Buzz Lightyear kiss 2 chicks kiss. I'm like, yo, what are you guys doing, man? And they don't tell you. They don't sit there and tell you, well, this might be like, rated G13 or something like that. They tell you, yeah, come see it. And then when you watch it, it's too late. Your child's exposed already.
And then you have to explain it.
Of course. How do you unsee?
Like I said, it was tough enough to explain to Danielle when we would go see Cinderella or the Little Mermaid and the princess kissing the princess, because she was like, ew, ew. So I had to explain that. Now you got to explain this.
It's this world is getting crazier and crazier by the second. And if you don't see that it's under Satan's rule, I don't understand. I don't understand. That's why it says be in the world but not of it. pay the bill,
Mhm.
pay your taxes, do what you need to do. But when you see these things happening, man, yeah, I'm good. Let me take my kids out to school. Let me homeschool them. And when they
Yep.
get to a certain age of understanding, then I'll introduce them to it. You don't
Yes.
introduce them because it's them desensitizing. Like here in New York, right? What they do is they have something called stop and search your bags, which is completely against the law. But they're desensitizing you to it. They'll just arbitrarily stop you. Now, people that yell and holler, they just let them go. But those
Mm.
that don't, they're desensitizing you. So now when they take that law from you and take that right, you're already used to it. So when you bypass the parents and you just go to the child, now they're desensitizing our children to something that we should open them up to when they're of age. But if we do it to them at a young age, when they get older, it's smooth sailing.
Yeah, it is. And they're giving kids too much authority. What the hell? And then T. Shaw said it here. Satan wants our kids. You show right. Okay, Bo, I'm gonna go ahead and drop you down because I've been going 3 hours. I wasn't even planning to do that.
I love you.
Love
Bye.
you. Bye bye. Thank y'all for coming to join me today. Thank you all for participating in the conversation via chat. I know I was on a rant. It was too much. Okay. So again, shout out to Macy Gray. Thank you for telling what it is, and there was nothing transphobic about what you said. It was the truth. It was the truth. You know. So again, I appreciate you. Thank you, Vincent. Thank all of you for coming through. Kombucha, T. Shaw, Bolo, Red Lipstick Vibes, and Mills R. M. Sir Hell Speaks. Who else I got in here? Miss Parker, OG Patrice, Bethany Elena. Let's see who else I got in here. Do, 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 do. I thought I saw Miss Gorin, the descendants of Miss Gorin here. Simon, yes. Truth is never favored, yes. Lucky Marie coming through, yes. Black, Canadian born, yes. Miss Descendants of Al Gore. So all of you, I appreciate you coming through and hanging out with me. And you all have a blessed evening and stay safe. And guard your children. Guard your children. Guard your children. Until next time, ciao for now.